Hello viewers and welcome to more gameplay on TT Isle of Man Ride on the Edge. This time we're visiting Wales for a run here. It's a bit of a grey day and we're going to explore this circuit for 3 laps. Not perfect laps, I will point out. I'm still learning the circuit at this point in terms of the nuances of the bike, but I wanted to show you a tour of this all the same. So pretty quick through turn 1. I did learn my getaway, had a couple of restarts in terms of how best to avoid and cut through and then hook up these sections as we get up the hill. All working nice for me. You really do need to learn each corner on these tracks. You know, you can't just respond to them. You really do need to understand where you're slowing down and getting into these corners. Here's this tricky bump. It gets me every time there. It's one of those funny bumps that when you go over it, it just takes the bike out from under you in the most curious way. And there's quite a few of those on the various different tracks. And I'll be coming back to you all on more feedback on the handling, talking about that in more detail in an upcoming video, and answering as many of your questions in the comments as I can as well, and concerns in different aspects of the game. But looking at this track for a moment, again, it's another really fun circuit, detailed in terms of the graphics. It contains all of those elements. It's like not based on an actual place in Wales, but you take all these different photographs they've probably taken of Wales, put them all together and made a circuit that feels authentic in its own way. Go to Wales, there's no sort of speed limits or anything, lovely roads, and it's often quite grey. So there we are, heavy braking at the end of that high speed section, and still just came out the turn there a little bit. I should have just stayed leaning in. Very slow corner. Don't know this part of the course too well, so still learning it at the moment. But, it's funny because when you first play this, you're actually quite self-conscious of the animation of the rider. I know he does bobble around a fair bit on the bike. I think sometimes it'd be nice if he just leaned a little bit for subtle movements. But either way, you know, the bike itself, it's all about keeping it where I want it to be rather than worrying about the animation of the rider. He does have always a very racy look. Very detailed, bikes are detailed, rider's gear is all detailed as well. And so I come round to finish a lap. You can see it's quite a long lap on the course, not hanging around and making a mistake here. That was it. Oh, now the rear wheel came out from under me, and that's it. There's no. That's one of the issues to the handling, where once the rear wheel comes out from under you, it just, that's it. Just end up in the wall. There's no saving it, so you often know you're going to crash before you get there, and quite frustrating because I'm always trying to, where possible, make these videos as clean as possible for you guys, but it's not easy. And maybe it looks easy when you just see clean runs, but I can assure you that a lot of these corners have had to be learned. Top of the hill, over this bump again, slowing down, sit nice and slow, then getting on the power. It's a very tricky bump there. You know, these bumps, when you come across them, it's not entirely clear how fast you're supposed to go over them, whether you can turn a little bit when you go over them. But they will just take the wheels out from under you if you don't hit them right. With this high speed section. And then down. Oh, on the back end, stepping out there, and that was it. Again, by the time you're already decelerating at that point, so there's not really much else you can do. And again, it was downhill deceleration, rear wheel comes out, there's really not much you can do. As soon as you realise it, well, you're already decelerating, so there's not much you can do to save the bike in that way once the rear loses traction. Almost as if there's no traction control in the rear wheel at that point. Down this long high speed straight now, it's fastest part of the course. That's out into really heavy braking zone. Not entirely certain where the brakes are there, but it's sort of nice and slow. Slow into this hairpin. That's it. Better than before. in many respects the bike is most difficult to control when it's going through a slow corner than it is through sort of mid-speed and high-speed corners. Oh, and again there, that was an unexpected one. I wasn't entirely clear why the rear wheel came out from under me, but it does. So these are just little nuances that you have to learn about the course. You have to, you know, you eventually figure out why that was happening, and then you sort of work your way around it. But it does slow you down for a few laps afterwards, where you're more tentative in not wanting to push too much. Sometimes the rear can come out on the exit of corners. The bike doesn't slide very well on the exit, so you have to be very progressive. So I'm just being a bit more careful now. I've had a few falls and I want to not break any more bones. And we go to the end of the second lap. Epic laps on this course. Of course, like all the other courses, it had 3 times a day. I haven't played all of them. I think I played another one, which was the evening, which was nice and sunny and nice. Again there, just was very lucky to get away with that. You could see the rear stepped out, tried to straighten it, and then I'm just a passenger. And we go up the hill again, coming to the dreaded bump, which I forgot about this time, I think. Oh, and that was quite a curious one, wasn't it? The bike comes out from between his legs. It's not something you see every day. Just very curious how those bumps affect the bike, you know, when you come across them. Where does this happen? There's a couple of bumps on the various different courses. On this and the Isle of Man course, there's a couple of bumps. We're going to look at that more in a future video when we look more at the handling. We're going to look at more, especially as I turn off the assists. You start seeing, you know, when you turn off the anti-wheelie, for example, it's so challenging, you know. Oh, and again there, downhill, that was causing the problem. I thought I'd show this because, yeah, I could practice it and do perfect laps, but I just want to show you guys how much practice you need to do to remember, because if you get to that part of the course and you just let off the power and react, well, the bike's just going to crash. You have to know that the bike's going to crash if you don't slow down there, because it's not visually obvious. The bike can make the corner, but the invisible bump you can't see is often what causes the problem, which just means you have to go slower than, you know, in a straight line sometimes than you expect. So round that hairpin, and last sort of minute or so through this last section of this massive course. I look forward to testing the other courses as well. Of course, we've only looked at, and again there, that took me entirely by surprise. Not entirely certain. That was the same bump that affected me before, so not entirely certain what was affecting me there, because I can't see it. So it's always a challenge. And second place. I think I'm quite frustrated at this point. I think, no, I should be winning this and braking super late, trying to catch this guy. Thinking, can I just get on the power a bit sooner? Go flat and just about make it past. And that's it. I'm satisfied. First place is in the bag, and now we'll take a look at the replay. So, having a look at the replay then, and you see the cutting by at the start, and just working my way around there. See the behind bike cam. It does skip between the different viewpoints, and you can't lock it to any one particular view, which is a bit of a shame. I would have liked to have had the option of locking it to a particular camera, so you could see all sort of from the sidelines or just on board these views in particular, to have had a whole replay from one of these, like this view in particular, which I've already spoken about. Love that view. Such a shame you barely ever see it. Oh man, working hard there, hammering the bike round. Now of course this is the Super Sport bike, and at some point I'll do it on the Superbike as well. Again, it adds a different difficulty in terms of braking points, turning, getting on the power. No crowds as such on this particular section of the course. A few people dotted about on the rocks, not too animated. We want to see them cheering us on. But either way, it spreads over a large area. And it looks very nice. You can see for miles. There's a good draw distance, a good range of foliage and detail. And the course on the whole is well thought out. It's a nice course, and now you'll note that every course I've shown, from Ireland to Scotland to Wales, have got more and more challenging in terms of layout and complexity. They really do get more difficult as the game goes on, and I look forward to testing the other courses as well to see how they turn out. Over the line for completion of one lap. So I thought I'd give you guys a bit of replay action there as well, just to show what that's all about as I crash off. It does look very cool though, doesn't it? That perspex effect, really nice actually. It's a shame they don't have a helmet cam, and I've also noted as well the feedback from you guys in terms of the position of the rider on the handlebars cam as well, but as he's always in the sort of ducked position rather than the upward braking position you'd expect, as I muck around a little bit with the replay function just to try some of the slow-mo features out as well. But I'm going to leave you with this now, and there'll be more from me looking at more detail on the handling, loads more Isle of Man TT action to come, and there'll be more from me very soon.